everybody. Welcome to another episode of Summer Corrections, or as we've taken to calling it, Summer Erections. We love, as we've established, we love a portmanteau here. I will say, I do find corrections a little bit easier the rest of the year, for whatever it's worth. I don't know the difference, but some erections are hard. So we missed corrections last week. I missed Wednesday, Thursday of last week and Monday, Tuesday this week because I tested positive for COVID last Wednesday morning. But I wanted to come back. I wanted to do the 2 shows this week. I'm very happy that we did. I wanted to make sure that it was safe before I came back. So I went to the CDC website, and I don't know if you've gone and checked it recently, but it just said, do what you want. You're not gonna listen, just do whatever you want. You don't have an aunt who's been Googling you can check with? This is interesting. We talked about Mac Tonight. We've been talking a little bit about Mac Tonight. This was a commercial spokesperson that was launched in 1987 because McDonald's wanted kids to have more nightmares. And I guess the idea was that it was this, the kids would just be terrified. He had a piano. The keys were made from the bones of his victims. And kids would be terrified, and then they would wake up and they'd be super upset if they had seen a Mac Tonight, and then the only way to get them to calm down was to get a McDonald's. Anyway, this is fascinating. This is not a correction. This is just, again, because I think at the end we're trying to learn with corrections, right? I mean, that's what we've said. Mac Tonight wasn't just like a guy with a moon head on. He was a fantastic actor named Doug Jones. Doug Jones was in Shape of Water. This is the same actor. He was in Pan's Labyrinth. He played the faun. And so he's this wonderful actor, and he got his start as Mac Tonight, which is really cool. So, and this is the really amazing thing, right? So first he was Mac Tonight. Then he was in Shape of Water, and the Shape of Water, the character in Shape of Water, I don't know if you remember this, but ended up as that. Full circle. This one I feel terrible about. We said that Rudy Giuliani played Wonderful Tonight at his first wedding when he married his second cousin. That song came out in 1977. The wedding was 1968. So apologies to Rudy as well as to the daughter of his first cousin. And I didn't know how long ago that was when Rudy married his cousin. Because 1968 was a different time. Still weird to marry your cousin. I meant to say that the image was Photoshop friendly, but I said it was friendly Photoshop. It was me just ad-libbing, and sometimes I say things wrong. Also, that's just an age thing. Because when we grew up, Shoemaker and I, when we grew up, like Photoshop wasn't a thing you would do on your computer. You would go to your friendly neighborhood Photoshop. You would do it all by hand. You wouldn't just email Tara, say, do this, make this image. You would have to go down to the shop. Johnny Carson would do it all the time. You'd have to go to Burbank. Can you put Richard Nixon in a prison uniform for me? And they'd be like, when do you need it by, Mr. Carson? He's like, I'd love it for tonight's show. It'll be weeks. It's gonna take weeks. One of you said, put a joke about Donald Trump getting an ice cream headache from a Frosty at Wendy's. And you said you can't get an ice cream headache from a Frosty. You can only get an ice cream headache from an ice cream. So if you're drinking a Frosty and you say to a friend, I have an ice cream headache, and that friend is a jackal, they'll say to you, what'd you get it from? Oh, we were talking about Avatar. It took 6 years in the film, almost 6 years, to get to Pandora from Earth. So that means you could go to Pandora and back before Avatar 2 came out. I do like to point out when a jackal writes something that makes me smile. And you said, in James Cameron's defense, the reason Avatar 2 is taking so long is they're filming it on location. I made a joke in the last corrections where the punchline was Kelly Rowland. A lot of you didn't get it. I think just go back and watch it again. I could explain it, but I just feel like it won't be as satisfying. Hey, this isn't going to be, I should note, this is not going to be a particularly long corrections tonight, but I do want to address the Emmys. The Emmys are coming up, and corrections, as we know by now, is Emmy nominated. But I was thinking about Emmy categories that I wish, when I had COVID, I watched a lot of TV, Emmy categories that I wish existed. And here is an Emmy category I wish existed. It's the best line reading on television this year. It's the best pronunciation. Let me specify. The best pronunciation of a word that I had never heard pronounced that way on TV this year. And the nominees are both from White Lotus. The first nominee is Molly Shannon for the way she says palm fronds in White Lotus. Take a look.
And all the palm fronds.
Very good. But what about how Jennifer Coolidge says chaise lounge in White Lotus? Let's take a look.
That chaise is taken.
Possible to choose. In our category, corrections category, I promised I wouldn't politic too much, but it's us tuning out the news, Stephen Colbert, Carpool Karaoke, Randy Rainbow, and I think you should leave with Tim Robinson. And pains me to say it, if you're wondering who I think the winner is, to quote the great Bob Dylan, it's not me, lady. It's Tim Robinson. I think you should leave is Coffin Flop alone. It deserves the Emmy. And if you haven't seen Coffin Flop, go on Netflix and watch Coffin Flop. And look, I aspire for excellence, and I would love to win an Emmy. But sometimes you have to say, you know, tied for second. Hey, we're going to be off for all of August. This is not our fault. It's the fault of really the summer TV viewer who doesn't enjoy watching television in the summer. And NBC executives took us aside and said, you know what people want in the summer is, it's like more like F-Boy Island and less like your show. And we said, what if we made our show a little bit more like F-Boy Island? And they said, well, what's the closest thing you have to an F-Boy? And we said, Scollins? And they said, take off August. There's a conclusion of sorts to the mug saga, you guys. You know, when we first came up with this idea, the question was, how hard is it to make a mug? And the answer is remarkably. But after a lot of work, this is now available in the NBC store. It's the Late Night with Corrections Jackal's mug. And there's a jackal over here. But there was a bit of drama, you guys, with the mugs. So here's what happened. We were going to announce the mug 2 corrections ago. And then last minute, I mentioned this on that correction. Actually, it was 1 correction ago, but 2 weeks ago. It was like, whoa, it's not in the store yet. Don't announce it. So I didn't announce it. The last thing we want to do is for you guys to, clog up the internet trying to buy these, and they're not available yet. So we didn't announce it. Then obviously I have COVID. In that time, though, a really weird thing happened. They started selling a different corrections mug at the NBC store. It looked like this. There were actually 2 of them, and that was at the NBC store. And so we were shocked because I've had a lot of conversations about the mug, and all of a sudden a mug that I've never seen before was in the NBC store. And And our producer, Eric Liederman, he wrote me an email about what had happened. And I was going to read it to you, but I'm not going to because here's the thing. I'm not saying it's long. But if I read you the full email, we would all miss the premiere of Avatar 3. The thing is, I feel terrible, but if you bought this mug, this is not an official corrections mug. You have a mug, and it says Corrections Jackal, and I hope you enjoy it, but it's a little bit like, you know, you think you bought a Chanel bag, and you get home, and your friend's like, that says Channel. Also, you know, I was looking on Etsy. Some people on Etsy have just been making their own corrections mugs. That one's nice. That one's nice, got an Egyptian theme to it. This one's nice. So I think the important thing to note is this is our segment that we do every week. And when it came to making the mugs, we finished last. But, you know, I think at the end, I think if any mug you want to buy for yourself that you think best represents the kind of jackal you are, I think go for it. Because if we've learned anything from this journey of corrections, there are no right answers. But it's here. So the audio came out here because I was singing a song called Summer Muggin' to the tune of Summer Lovin', and they filed a copyright claim because they were worried my song was better and would become canon. That's great, though. We got our own mug. Come on. Back me up, guys. This is really nice. This is really nice. I will say, being right-handed, I kind of preferred this side. You know, and I was like, as a righty, the side I like less is facing out. So I said, how hard would it be? 28 months. So, I don't want you to think, because sometimes you all say, hey, enjoying your summer vacation? No. I like it here. I like doing this. I don't like being at the beach. I'm not being lazy, okay? But the important thing is we were together today. We'll be together again in September. Vote I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson. Get whatever mug you want. You know what really bums me about these Etsy people? These are tiny little pine cones. A couple of Jackal's nuts. They're just so ahead of us. And we're a major corporation. It took us like a year to make a mug. Like this, I want this mug because I know, thanks to that, I know exactly how big it is. You guys, have a wonderful summer. We love you very much. See me in September.